Hey everyone, Corey from Aquarium Co-op. Today I want to talk about mystery snails. So I've got the mystery snail tank that you guys have been watching me set up here, and it's a 40-gallon breeder, and I've got a bunch in there. I want to say like 18 of them or something like that. But they're kind of a larger snail for sure. The colors that I have are gold and blues at the moment, and I'm just wanting to get a sustainable colony going, and so I've got a bunch in here. And some of the things to know: you got to have higher pH. 7.2 or higher is kind of the minimum for these guys. They also need lots of calcium, both in their diet and in the water, because if they don't have enough in the water, their shells are going to dissolve slowly. And if they don't get enough in their diet, they can't build shells. So to feed them, a lot of times I'll use crab cuisine here, and it's enhanced with calcium. That's a good thing. That's what they're all chowing down on right now. And they eat way, way, way more than you would think. That's the biggest thing I've been struggling with, is they eat 10 times more than I think they should be eating. And so the water will go cloudy on me, but then they breed. When they do breed, they're going to lay egg masses up above the water line. So that's what that alien looking thing is right there. That's probably 50 to 75 mystery snail eggs. Now that's going to take, basically 7 to 14 days to hatch, depending on the temperature. But that's the only way they lay eggs. So you have to have the water level down in your aquarium, and you have to have a tight fitting lid, otherwise it won't stay humid. If it doesn't stay humid, the eggs dry out and they'll be no good. So it needs to be hot, it needs to be humid, and then you have to have both male and female snails. Now, you can technically sex them, but it will be very difficult for you to do at a store. You can tell the males, so the males have an appendage right there, so that thing sticking out the side of it, that's its reproductive organ. Now, and there's one right here, you can see it's sticking out its reproductive organ as well. But the problem is, just because it's not sticking one out doesn't mean it's a female. It could just be a male that doesn't have his organ out because maybe he's feeding or something. So you can pick males. Males are pretty easy to pick, but you would have thought like, oh, maybe those two are mating, but nope, it's two males. One's riding on the back of the other one, moseying on around. So that's some of the hardest parts. So I recommend buying a group of 6 or so, and then waiting for the magic to happen. And now eventually I'll have a ton, right? Because I've got an egg clutch right there, and I've got one back there, and eventually it's going to be tons and tons of snails, and it's going to become a problem of, can I change enough water and feed enough? But I'm ready for that task, and I've never really dedicated the time to breeding mystery snails. I always give it a half-hearted attempt, and this time I'm doing a serious attempt. So I've got the eggs and everything, and I think it'll stay humid enough. If it doesn't, I'll have to deal with it and make it a little more humid. But they're plant safe. That's what I like. They get big. They come in a lot of color varieties. These are the golds and the blues, but they also have purples. They have this has like the orange spotting. That one's got just like the brown or the blue foot. That's what this is called right here. This is the foot they use to crawl around. And you can see how fast that guy is moving. They move pretty quick. You don't need to worry if they fall on their back. They can right themselves. There's another big one over here, just kind of moving around. It's got its antennas out. They've got really good sense of smell. They prefer it to be more dim. This is kind of a bright aquarium, but they're still plenty active during the day, but they're more active at night. I've got them in here right now with pond snails and ram's horn snails. All the same, they do well. Because they are a bigger snail, sometimes they can uproot a plant. Like I had just planted this tank when I put these guys in there, so they uprooted some. Eventually this will kick in. I need to put some fertilizer in here, and I've got the algae, but eventually I think that algae is going to serve as a nice kind of feeding bed for all these snails, so I'm not looking to get rid of it too quick. But yeah, these are known as the apple snail. I'd recommend checking out applesnail.net. You can learn of things like making snailo, which is kind of like a gelatin-based snail food. There's other things you can learn about, but general care requirements. Most people just say, oh, it's a snail. But if you really want to get into them, that's where you would go. And yeah, I find them to be super cool and fun. And I know I just get a lot of questions about them, and most people don't understand them. So hopefully that kind of brings in a little bit of information for you. Basically, I keep them at 78 degrees roughly, keep them humid above the water line, make sure they can lay their eggs above there, make sure you have a tight fitting lid, make sure you feed them way, way, way too much. Now obviously step that up gradually, but they didn't start breeding. I've had them for about 3 months now. Until I started I put in handfuls of food. Once I started putting in handfuls of algae wafers and stuff, they finally like accumulated enough food to actually make eggs and stuff. So, step it up slowly, but realize it does take more than you would think, for sure. And then you just wait for the magic to happen. Make sure your pH isn't too low, and make sure you got enough hardness, and realize that the more snails you have, the more hardness you're going to need, and so the more food you feed, the faster that pH might come down. So you got to combat all those things. So hopefully that's a quick little primer for you on the apple snail / mystery snail, and hopefully you go get some and play with them, because I think they're super duper cool. And watch my videos, because I'm sure I'll be chiming in on a fish room update when I've got the babies and raising them up and stuff like that. So if you enjoyed, like it, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.